going to start subject science standard 10 chapter 6 life process part 1. We have been studied about living and non-living things with the help of certain characteristics. We distinguish between living and non-living things. A dog wagging its tail and ant crawling. Are these living things? Yes, they are. Because they are moving. So movement is a sign of living. You sow a seed in a soil. After few weeks, you find a plant let growing. On basing the character growth, we say the plant is a living thing. So, in the above cases, movement and growth are the indicators of life. But sometimes we find living things without any movement. Examples, this sleeping dog and this cactus. At this instance, we do not notice neither movement nor growth in the above two. It doesn't mean that they are not living, they have movements that are not visible to our naked eyes. If movements are there, why are they? We all know that living things are made up of organs, made up of tissues, finally cells. Cells are made up of molecules. In a living cell, there is a continuous movement of molecules. These movements are essential for repair and maintenance processes. These repair and maintenance processes are called life processes. Now let us see what are life processes. Life process importance. All living things are made up of cells. Cells are made up of molecules. For a cell to be alive, it has to be repaired and maintained all the time. Repair and maintenance of a cell needs a continuous supply of new molecules and disposal of unwanted molecules. This task is achieved by a set of processes are called life processes. Nutrition is a life process in which food is obtained by the organism and converted to simpler molecules, that is nutrients. These are supplied to the cells by the transport system. Respiration is a life process in which oxygen is obtained by the organism and is supplied to the cells by the transport system. Cells utilize some of these nutrients and oxygen to produce energy. Some nutrients are used for synthesis of new materials for growth and repair. While carrying out the above activities, cells generates certain molecules which are toxic and to be excreted out of body. Excretion is the life process in which living organisms excrete the toxic material out of the cells by the help of transport system. Transportation is the life process that helps in the transport of materials in nutrients, respiration and excretion. So, nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion are the 4 life processes essential for an organism to live. Now, under autotrophic nutrition, we will see nutrition in plants. Nutrition in plants is autotrophic, means self-feeding. Plants prepare their food by using simple inorganic materials like water, carbon dioxide and sunlight. This process is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis takes place inside the leaf, but exactly where does it happen? Inside the leaf. If we see the cross section of a leaf, we will find the cells with green color structures called chloroplast. This is extract site in the photosynthesis. Then, how do plants get the raw materials for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide end of the leaves through small pores called stomata present on the underside of the leaves. Water is absorbed from the soil by the roots. The explosion of the leaves to the sun enables it to get in the sunlight for photosynthesis. Now let us see these steps involved in it. Step 1. Chlorophyll molecules get activated by the sunlight. Step 2. Activated chlorophyll splits the water into hydrogen and oxygen. Step 3. Hydrogens generated in step 2 are utilized to reduce the carbon dioxide to glucose. Plants also need nitrogen to make proteins to build up their bodies. And most nitrogen is made into nitrates and nitrates by the soil bacteria. They get it from the soil in the form nitrates and nitrates. Now let us see nutrition in human beings under the topic heterotrophic nutrition. Food enters our body through mouth and travels to the long canal which ends at anus. This canal is called alimentary canals. In the mouth, the food is grind to paste by teeth and saliva. Saliva is a watery fluid. Not only mix the foods soft and wet. It also has an enzyme called salivary amylase, which partially digests the sugars. Now the food has to reach the stomach through a pipe called esophagus. The muscles of the esophagus contract rhythmically to move the food through it into the stomach. Stomach is a large muscular hollow organ in which the food is thoroughly mixed with more digestive juices secreted by gastric glands present in the walls of the stomach. These juices include number 1, pepsin. a protein digesting enzyme. Number 2, hydrochloric acid to provide acidic medium or the proper action of pepsin. And number 3, mucus. Mucus to prevent the damage of stomach wall by the action of hydrochloric acid. At the end of the stomach is sphincter muscle slowly releases the food into the small intestine. The longest part of the alimentary canal, which is highly coiled to get accommodated in small piece. It receives pancreatic juice from the pancreas, intestinal juices from the glands in the intestines, and bile juice from the liver. Pancreatic juice and intestinal juices contain enzymes like trypsin, lipase, pancreatic amylase, peptidase, and nucleases. Bile does two things. One, it breaks the fats into smaller droplets, providing more surface area for the quick action of enzymes. Number 2, bile makes the intestinal pH to alkaline, so by that the digestion of fats and carbohydrates is facilitated. These enzymes finally make the carbohydrates to sugars, proteins to amino acids, and fat to fatty acids. The inner lining of the small intestine has finger-like projections called villi, where the nutrients derived in digestion are absorbed into the bloodstream. The unabsorbed food is sent into the large intestine where water is absorbed and the rest is excreted out through anus. We will move to the next topic, respiration. First, let us see cellular respiration. Nutrition provides us with nutrients like glucose. Respiration helps in the release of energy from glucose. Some organisms needs oxygen to do this job. In that case, it is called aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, one glucose molecule with 6 carbon splits into 2 molecules of pyruvic containing each 3 carbons. This happens in the cytoplasm of this cell. These pyruvic acid molecules and turns to carbon dioxide and water by releasing the energy in the form of ATP. ATP is fuel the different endothermic reactions that takes place inside the cell. Respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. It is called anaerobic respiration. When we do vigorous exercise, our muscle cells get deprived of oxygen. In such cases, glucose is converted to pyruvic acid, which in turn gives out lactic acid and then energy. In case of yeast and anaerobic organism, glucose is converted to pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid releases energy by converting into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This process is called fermentation. The energy released in aerobic respiration is greater when compared with the anaerobic respiration. But aerobic respiration requires a continuous supply of oxygen. Plants have stomata to exchange the gases will be atmosphere, whereas animals have special respiratory organs to get the oxygen from the surroundings. Now, let us see how the breathing takes place in human beings. Breathing is an essential part of respiration. It allows the organisms to obtain the oxygen from the surroundings. Human beings have a well-developed respiratory system to absorb the oxygen from the atmosphere. Let's see the structural and functional details of each part of it. Human respiratory system begins with a pair of nostrils through which air enters our body. Nostrils are lined by fine hairs to filter the dust that enters in. Nostrils leads to nasal passage. Which is meant to humidify the air. From here, the air passes through the throat into the lungs. Throat is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings to prevent it from collapsing the windpipe, bronchilus into bronchi, bronchioles, and finally attaches to small balloon-like structures called alveoli. The walls of the alveoli are richly supplied with blood vessels, and this is the exact site where the exchange of gases takes place in your lungs. The blood brings carbon dioxide from the rest of body for release into the alveoli. The air in the alveoli is reaching in oxygen. Now, the exchange of gases takes place alveoli and blood by simple diffusion. A red color pigment called hemoglobin binds the oxygen and transports it. Carbon dioxide is generally dissolved in the blood during transport. Now let us move to the next topic, transportation. Transportation in human beings. Transportation is the life process that helps in the transport of materials in nutrition, respiration and excretion. Heart, blood vessels and blood are the part of our transport system. How an electric pump pushes the water in the pipes. Just in the similar way, heart pumps blood in the blood vessels to different parts of our body. Heart is a muscular four-chambered organ which is in the size of our fist. It has to do two different jobs. One, it has to collect the deoxygenated blood from the body parts and send it to lungs. This is done by the right side chambers, right atrium and right ventricle of the heart. Number 2, it has to collect the oxygenated blood from lungs and supply it to the body parts. This is achieved by the left side chambers of the heart. But it does both the jobs simultaneously. Let's see how it does in action. The left atrium and the right atrium relaxes. Left atrium collects the blood from lungs. Right atrium gets deoxygenated blood from the body. As they contract, the left ventricle and right ventricle expands so that the blood is transferred to them. When the left ventricle contracts in its turn, the blood is pumped out to the body. The right ventricle contracts in its turn, pumps the blood to the lungs for oxygenation. In higher animals like birds and mammals, the four-chambered heart keeps the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood separate. The circulation of blood through the heart takes place twice. Once between the heart and lungs and second time between heart and body parts. Hence, this circulation is called double circulation. Okay children, today our session over. Your homework, take your textbook and page number 95. Question from 1 to 4 and page number 101. Questions 1 to 5 and page number 105. Question 1 to 4 and also the important question, detail about our heart. These details about heart you have to learn and drawing the heart clearly and neatly, and other questions you have to write and send me. Thank you.